What is up, you guys? It is your boy Frosty Kool-Aid here with y'all today for my first anime review on the channel of the whole season of Akame Got Killed. Now, Akame Got Killed was easily probably one of the most controversial animes that have appeared in the winter-fall season and even a little bit of summer as well. Now, it's a 24 episode long anime. It started around summertime and ended actually last week, so it's been about a week since the anime has been done. And the reason why it's been kind of controversial is because it's one of those animes that starts really well, adapted to the manga, and then as time goes on, it reaches a point where it just goes to anime filler only, and that's what happens in this anime. But there's actually some justification to that. To all those who don't know, yesterday there was an article released saying that the manga was entering the final arc, so that the anime probably wouldn't have been able to do a whole nother season based on how many chapters were going to be left in the manga, so they probably had to do the filler ending. Now, I'm not going to get into that because that's like a whole topic for a whole different video, because this is a review of the actual anime. So I'm not going to be talking much about the manga. I may say a few things, but I'm not going to be spoiling it. Now, speaking about spoilers, this is going to be a spoiler anime. Like, it's going to be a spoiler anime review. Like, it's an anime review. Like, what else do you expect? I'm sorry. Now, if you have not watched the anime yet, and you want to watch the anime, but you don't want to be spoiled, hit that like button, subscribe, pause this review, go watch all 24 episodes, and then come back and then finish the review, and everything can be all fine and dandy. But if you haven't watched the anime but you don't care or anything like that, or if you don't care about spoilers, or you just want to hear this review, then go ahead and hit that like button for me, subscribe, because there'll probably be more things like this in the future and other types of videos. And then let's go ahead and hop into Akame Got Killed. So first, we're gonna go ahead and hop into the plot. Now, the plot kind of consists of, well, here's how it goes. There's an empire. It's kind of typical with an empire that's kind of corrupted, because the emperor himself is like 12, and then the prime minister that they have is evil, and he's just kind of making the emperor make all these bad decisions so that he can be wealthy in the end, and that nobody will try to ever attempt to threaten the capital. Now, because it's so bad, it's like kind of like a rich and poor situation. There are a lot of rich people and there are a lot of poor people. There's like barely, if anyone, in the middle class area. So it's a lot. So a lot of the people that were poor joined this thing called the Revolutionary Army in order to kind of overthrow the capital. Now, the Revolutionary Army has a special group of assassins known as Night Raid, and they kind of go on special missions, and they kill, like, really strong people that the regular army couldn't handle, or they go on stealth missions that the regular army can't handle because of sheer numbers. Now, what happens is, that's kind of like the main gist of the story. That's what it is. Night Raid versus the capital, and then the Jaegers as well, who is like the capital's special force of people, but I'll get into them in a second. Now, the main kind of like story kind of plot for a character is Tatsumi, who with his friends travels to the capital in order to make money because his village is poor. So as he does this, he gets separated from his friends, and then he reunites with them, but in like a deadly manner. Like, one of them is already dead and the other one is dying as he speaks to Tatsumi. And Tatsumi finds this out by Night Raid themselves, who tells Tatsumi that the capital is actually very unjust, and that if he really wants to see something change, then that he should help them. Now, really only Leone thought that he should help them, but still he did join them in the end without an imperial arm, which I'll get to in a second, which actually, I guess I'll bring up that right now. He goes with them in order to stop the capital, of course, and then on his journey he experiences a lot of death and a lot of grief and not very much happiness at all, but still he's definitely the main character of the show, and then it all mostly focuses on him and his emotions and feelings and things like that. So now that I'm done with that, let's go ahead and get into the Imperial Arms aspect, which is kind of the weapons of the series. Imperial Arms, they're like supernatural weapons almost, that each have special powers. Like this one right here is in Curcio. It allows you to have armor, and then this pointy spear thing, and it allows you to take damage. Like, you can resist a lot of magical type attacks, and you can take a lot more damage than you were you would be able to normally take if you didn't have the armor on at all. And then they have Lionel, which she's not even using right now, but it allows her to be able to regenerate, and it gives her like lion-like qualities. She's to be able to crawl and things like that. She runs faster, jumps, and she's a lot more powerful, you know. And then like the swords, of course, it just, each and every Imperial arms has a special unique to it, but each one also has a downfall. Not that all of them are necessarily like heavy downfalls, but a few of them do have downfalls. So now that I've kind of explained that in each aspect of the plot and then the Imperial arms, I guess it's time to move on to the characters. So first we'll start by moving on to the main character, Tatsumi. Now this is Tatsumi. This is before he gets Incurcio, because he gets Incurcio from Bull-Out after Bull-Out, well, kind of passes on. If you didn't know that, like I said, it is a spoiler review. So, and Tatsumi, he's kind of like that shonen kind of character. That's what a lot of people refer to him as, because he's one with like high resolve, you know. He knows he's got a heart of justice, and he's strong-willed and things like that. But he's also really nice. He's really kind and things like that, and that's why a lot of people end up liking him in the show, especially a lot of girls. This man pulls so many girls in this show. It is crazy. And then he turns pretty much all of them down except one. He turns down the hottest chick in the show. He turns down one of the baddest chicks in the show, the finest chicks in the show, and then he decides to go with another chick, I mean, who is cute, don't get me wrong, but compared to the others, it's like, bro, what are you doing? But anyways, he is a swordsman. That's why he has the sword, of course. And like I said, he has the high resolve, and he's kind of strong. And I'm not gonna get into like character deaths or anything right now. I figure I should establish that. I'm not going to get into deaths right now. I'll do that after I kind of analyze every character on Night Raid side and every character on the Jaeger side. And y'all probably like, well, who are the Jaegers? Well, they're like I said, they're the Capitals kind of version of Night Raid, but they're not really assassins. They're more of just soldiers. So they don't have like the stealth on their side or anything like that. But that is Tatsumi. Like I said, he's the main character of the show. He is the main character of the show. But then they tell us that we have another main character of the show, who is Akame herself. Now the show is named after her, and she is on the cover of most everything. When you look this up, she is the main person on the picture or image or video. Now in the anime though, she doesn't get very much character development at all, unlike Tatsumi. Tatsumi has lots and lots of character development throughout the show. He goes from weak to stronger, and then being able to do a lot of amazing things. Well, Akame, she was amazing from the start. I mean, she does get more powerful as time goes on, but still she doesn't get that much character development like as a person. The most character development that we get out of her is when she defeats her little sister, and she yells out to scream, and that's probably the most character development. I mean, it hit our hearts and we all had the feels, but that's probably the most character development she had in the whole show. Like, she's like a kind of like that cold-hearted. She's not like brutal or anything. Well, she is when she's killing, but to everyone else, she's not like brutal, but she's kind of like cold-hearted and serious a lot, because that's just how she grew up. You know, she grew up in the capital. She used to be one of the highest ranked assassins for the capital, and then she eventually defected to Night Raid because Najenda convinced her to do it, and convinced her, showing her that the capital was wrong and that she could help them, and then help in the capital's reign of terror over all the capitals, like new little empires and cities and towns and things like that, and help all the poor people who were getting mistreated for no reason. But like I said, she doesn't get that much character development at all. Like, she actually has probably one of the least amount of screen time. Outside of fighting, you don't really see her talk that much. And it's sad, because as you can see, she is bae, and she is really, really bae. And so it sucks to see that we don't really get to see her that much at all. But she's probably like one of the few ones, spoiler alert, like I said, I'm probably not going to be saying spoiler alert every time, but she's like one of the few ones that actually live in the end compared to everyone else. So, oh, wait, my bad. Actually, I forgot to say that Akame's Imperial arm is Murasame, which is like a sword. It's like a one-cut killer sword. It's like the demon sword. It has all this poison like running through it, technically, and so when you use it, if it even grazes you or anything, if it has any sort of contact with you on your skin, then you're gonna die, because it releases these toxins that spread throughout your body within an instant, and then you die in like 2 minutes. Like, you can't even cure yourself. You can't go to cure yourself, you're just gonna die. So that's kind of how it works. The cold demeanor with the cold cut killer That's why we love Akame. She looks bae, and she is bae on the battlefield. So now we're gonna move on to Bulau, the Oneki, whoever you know him as, Tatsumi's older bro, Bulau. Now Bulau, he was also an imperial officer. Now he wasn't as high as Akame was for the capital, but you know he was high ranked, and he is also, well, fruity. If you don't know what fruity means, he's gay. I mean, I don't have any problem with him being gay. I'm not gay, but yeah, I don't have any problem with it. He's still a cool character. He's like Tatsumi's like teacher almost. He kind of teaches Tatsumi a lot for the time that he was alive. Yeah, spoiler, he dies. But you should pretty much know that pretty much everyone dies except for Akame almost. But yeah, he's like Tatsumi's teacher of the imperial arms and things like that. Although he doesn't necessarily get to teach him how to use Incursio, he does get to teach him like fighting skills and what Tatsumi should know on the battlefield, and he kind of like helps polish up Tatsumi's skills. Now his imperial arm is, as you can see, it's Incursio, which I explained already kind of in the beginning. It allows you to be able to take a lot more damage than you normally would if you were not wearing the suit. You get a lot more power, and also it can turn invisible. I forgot to mention that. It can turn invisible, and that's a really good thing for stealth missions and things like that. Now, it itself can turn invisible, but your presence is not invisible. People can still feel your presence, even though they can't see you directly. But yeah, it gives you nice and superhuman strength, superhuman speed. You can almost fly, and then you can turn invisible. It's pretty much the superhero suit is what I would call it. Now the next character that we are going to speak on is Mine. And Mine is like, well, here's how it goes. Mine is like that kind of cocky kind of person almost. She calls herself the genius sniper, I guess, because, well, not I guess, I don't know. She calls herself the genius sniper because she is like a very good sniper. You know, she's got a good shot, but she can't really do very well in hand-to-hand combat, which kind of gives her a disadvantage. But still, her personality is like that. It changes kind of as time goes on. But like to people that she doesn't know, she's like really, really mean and like really, really like sassy and things like that. And she's not very open to people she doesn't know, which is what happens to Tatsumi at the beginning. She's just not really open to him at all. But then as time goes on, as she gets to know you and things like that, then she starts to open up, and she's actually a really nice character. She's really cool. At first I didn't like her. I didn't really like her that much at first. I was like, bro, are you kidding me? Like, what is going on? Why is she so mean for no reason? Well, I didn't hate her or anything, but like I was just like, yo, like chill. It's not that serious. But as time went on, she actually becomes one of my favorite characters, and I liked her a lot. And you know who else liked her a lot? Tatsumi, because they actually end up in a relationship. Yes, this is Tatsumi's girlfriend. I'll probably show you who he turned down. Although one of them he technically didn't turn down. He just never really ever got the chance. But anyways, yeah, this is his girlfriend, and they have a relationship in the anime, but it's not compared to the manga. I'm not gonna get into the manga's version of the relationship, but let's just say in the manga they actually have a relationship, and they actually kiss more than once. And then in the anime, well, you only see that one kiss, which is right before Mine kind of dies. But I'm not gonna get into that right now. As you can see, Mine's holding the sniper itself, Pumpkin, which kind of is like an emotional kind of gun. And why I say emotional is it runs on emotion and pressure. As she is in more danger, the shots are more powerful. And then as we get longer into the anime, we find out that it also can run off emotion. So if she's really riled up, or she really wants to protect somebody or something, or she's really mad, and then she's in really dire situation, then this thing blasts through everything. I mean, oh my lord, looking like some Kamehameha Gallic gun. Yeah, it's gonna be the Gallic gun because it's a sniper. Haha, puns for you all day. But yeah, it's gonna be like it blasts through everything. It's insane. It just destroys everything around it, as long as she's on high emotional energy or she's in a pinch herself. But we all love Mine. I mean, at the end of the day, it was a really sad thing when she did die, but we all love her. We all love her. And if you go watch the anime, if you haven't watched it, you'll find out why. You'll start to love her. So next we have the homie himself, Lubbock. The homie himself. Now Lubbock is like he's like the perverted kind of guy. You know, he's always looking at the women, you know what I'm saying, looking up and down, you know what I'm saying, trying to catch that booty, trying to catch them boobies, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, he's like the typical guy almost. He's like the typical guy when it comes to that. You know, every guy is kind of thirsty at some point in their lives, and he gets thirsty a lot, but still he's like has that comedic relief for the anime. He is like that. He's kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to compare him to somebody, but like a Master Roshi almost, except not, well, he's not old, so it's not as necessarily perverted because he's not like 80, but he's like Master Roshi in that aspect. So what does he do exactly? Well, he covers his identity most of the time. Like, he can go into the city because they don't have pictures of his face in the city, so he can cover his face. Eventually they do find out who he is, but originally they don't know who he is. So he covers his identity as like a bookstore owner, and he's like the son of a merchant. So he's like really rich, but like what happened, why he joined Night Raid was because a long time ago, I hate to say it like this, but yeah, a long time ago, that's a different character. She's also big, but that's a different character. And Agenda, when Agenda was younger, which I mean, even though she's like 25 right now, but when she was like 22, she went to Lubbock's town, and Lubbock like fell in love with her instantly. And if you see what she looked like when she went into Lubbock's town, then yeah, you would fall in love with her instantly. She was looking nice in waifu material when she went in. Now she's not really waifu material. She's just because it's we'll get into her in a second. But Lubbock, he like really fell in love with her. He became like almost obsessed with her. And so when she went to join the Revolutionary Army and he found out, he actually faked his death to his family and then went to go join Agenda. And that's actually one of his trademark things, is faking his death. That's how he gets out of a lot of situations. He fakes his death and then he waits for the enemy to walk away. I don't get why the enemy would be so naive. Like, if he didn't take that much, like most of the time when it fakes his death, he doesn't even have that many wounds. So they just kind of leave and then he just destroys them because they're stupid. But as you can see on his hands, he has the cross tail, which is like string almost. It's like uncuttable string, but it can form into different weapons that he can use. And you would think that it has like unlimited like string and an unlimited amount of ammo in somewhere in his sleeves, but actually it does have an unlimited amount. He just has to set it, but it does have a lot, so he can definitely use a lot of it in battle. But he can, like I said, he can turn it into different kind of weapons to fight in different situations. He can use it for like setting things up, setting up traps. And that's why he's also kind of like the recon man. He like checks out the area and then he sets up traps for the area for when the enemy comes. He's like a tactician almost. He's not like an IQ of 300 kind of guy, but he definitely is. He's definitely one of the smarter kind of guys when it comes to preparing the battlefield before. And he, like I said, he's that lighthearted comedic kind of guy. He's the comedian of the show. He keeps the show lighthearted most of the time when even stuff gets, well, dark, which it gets dark a lot. But even when it gets darker, he keeps it lighthearted. He keeps it nice and perverted. That's the homie right there. Not that I'm a perverted kind of guy. I'm just saying, if you watch anime, you'll love him too. Now, next we're gonna move on to Leone. Now, Leone, you know, she's kind of, I don't want to say she's just irrelevant, even though she is bae. Like, I mean, look at her, she is nice and bae, but she is kind of irrelevant in the anime. I mean, she's kind of irrelevant in the manga too. Like, she does have some points. Now, she's not just all the way irrelevant, don't get me wrong. We still love her. If you watch it, you still love her. She's like, almost, she hits on Tatami a lot. This is another one of the girls that kind of Tatami turned down. Although she didn't really say, like, she said that when he got older, she would come back for him because she thought he was cute, but she didn't say or anything that she liked him right now because he's only like 17 and she's probably like 22. But still, she is like kind of, she's like relaxed at times. Like when they're hanging out, she's really relaxed and she's really cheerful and things like that. And she's like almost like the fan service kind of girl, the anime, if you want to say that, because her kitties are like always hanging out pretty much. And then as you can see, well, just look at her, you can kind of see she's kind of the fan service girl. But I mean, you know, every anime has to have that fan service in there somehow, and she just happens to be the one to do that job. So she also is kind of like one of the older members. She's been around for a long time. It's like Akame and Agenda. She's been around with them probably since the beginning, like the Loud has also. She's one of the older kind of people, but she's like vicious to people who really don't do the right thing. Like, she's really cheerful and she's really relaxed when she's hanging out with Night Raid, but when she goes to fight against other characters, she can get down and dirty real quick. She can go 0 to 100 real quick and then destroy everybody with her speed and her power to just kind of beat everybody in. Now, like I said earlier, her Tegu is Lionel, which is right here, her belt. It allows her to give the lions the power of the lions, and she can like regenerate and things like that. She can regenerate from pretty much anything, and like even if her body part, like if her arm was cut off, with her and Lubbock together, they can use the string thing, which allows them to heal her arm back on, so she can regenerate as long as the part itself can be found if cut off, or if she's cut like right through the stomach, not like sliced in half, but she's cut right through the stomach like a gash, it'll heal itself. She's gonna suffer the damage, she's gonna feel it, but it'll heal itself eventually. And then, like I said, it gives her that super speed and that super power. She pretty much beats everything to a pulp. But she's also kind of reckless because of her regeneration ability. And that's like, she almost dies a lot. She almost dies a lot because of that. But that's not like necessarily a bad thing because she does have regeneration abilities. So let's go on and move to the next character, Shelly. Oh, Shelly. Just after what I said about Shelly, you can just guess something. But Shelly is that character that we all loved. We all loved Shelly. She was so nice, even though she was clumsy as a mug and she couldn't even like barely walk in like a straight line. But still, she was so nice and so sweet and so caring. She comforts everybody. She couldn't do anything except for kill, but you know what? She was the character we loved. We loved Shelly, but they had to do her dirty, which I'll get to that in a minute. They had to do her dirty, but still, even though she's a really nice character, as you can see, she's also bae material right there. Yeah, she's looking nice in bed. She's really nice. She has the big giant kill scissors, like a lot of people call it, but it's actually called ecstasy, I think. Yeah, ecstasy. I think that's how you pronounce that. It pretty much can cut through anything. It'll cut through anything. It'll slice through anything. It's really powerful. You just kind of have to watch her use it, and she's a really strong character herself, because I mean the only thing she's really good at is killing. She tried cooking before, she's tried washing clothes, she's tried doing all these sorts of things that she can't do. So and she actually comforts Tatsumi, which helps him a lot in the beginning, because like I said, his friends died, and then he's still kind of grieving about that, and she helps him get through that. She comforts him every night. She sits on the hill with them and they look at the stars, and she holds him in her chest, her big chest. All right, let me chill. Yeah, she holds him in her chest, and then they kind of look at the stars and things like that, and they kind of enjoy the view, and she comforts him to help him grieve and things like that. It's just, oh, you have to love Shelly. You watch it, you have to love her. You just love her. She's just that kind of character. She is just that kind of character. So next we're going to move on to Chelsea, who is one of the new members, as you can tell, because the card slots are a little bit different. She's one of the newer members, and she comes into the group after somebody dies. I'm not going to spoil who right now. I'll get to it in a second. After somebody dies, her and Susano, who is next, actually join the group. Now Chelsea, she is also bae material. She was one of the baes of the show. She was almost my top bae, but something happened. But things happened, and well, yeah, she's actually almost waifu material. She's pretty close. She's not necessarily the exact thing I would necessarily say waifu, but she's definitely got some qualities that could make her waifu. Now her kind of personality in the show, she's like, she used to work for Night Raid, not this Night Raid, but technically there's still parts of Night Raid that are on different sides of the capital, and she worked for a different section, but her whole section got slaughtered by Esdeath, and so she was like the only one who survived because of her Imperial arm, which allows her to transform and get away, and that allows her to leave. And as her old army is pretty much slaughtered by Esdeath, she goes back to the Revolutionary Army base, and they send her to this Night Raid because, I mean, like I said, someone died, so they were in need of a new member anyway. So not Shelly, oh my goodness, Chelsea, she's kind of like, not really aloof, but she's carefree when they're hanging out and stuff like that. She's one of those characters, she's like just one of those cool characters, she doesn't get mad very easily or anything like that. She's really chill, and she's kind of nice. She kind of teases mine a lot. She teases mine a lot about their bust size. She's like, mine, yours is like so small, and mine is nice and juicy. All right, let me chill, fam, let me chill. But still, she's like, really nice, and then she kind of gets like a budding kind of relationship with Leone, and they hit it off pretty well. But when they start talking about like missions and things like that, she actually is one of the ones who's kind of, well, she's like the only one, but she's one who's like not really depressing, but usually goes against the grain, saying that they shouldn't risk their lives on things like that. And she constantly critiques the two characters who have died in the past. Who have, I mean, you pretty much already know, everyone pretty much died in the anime, but still, yeah, she kind of critiques them a lot, and she's like blunt with her explaining herself, and when telling her opinions, she's kind of blunt with that. But outside of that, she's really skilled. She's an assassin, of course, because I mean everyone on the team is an assassin, and she uses her Imperial arms for like these little makeup things, which allow her to transform into anything that the image of anything that she wants to. Pretty much, she can just transform herself into it. But however, she cannot transform using their abilities. Like now, while I say abilities, yes, if she became a cheetah, she'd be able to run fast. But she cannot transform into like, let's say Akame. She can't transform into Akame and then be able to use Murasame perfectly, because it's not the real Murasame, even though she would transform her appearance. Now, and that actually plays a big part down the road. But like I said, she's nice and base material, and she's a really cool character. So she's she's a cool character. That's all I can say. Next we have is Susanoo, the blue-haired monster. He destroys everyone, but he himself is actually an Imperial arms. He is not a actual human, but as if you watch the anime, we all think of him as a human anyways. Even though he's not a quote-unquote human, he's a human to us. Okay, he's a human to us. Now, because he's an Imperial arms, he doesn't have like Imperial arms of his own. Instead, he uses like this giant roasting stick, and he just beats everybody with it. And he's like really strong, and he works for Najinda, who is the next character on our list. And he doesn't really have much of a personality. I mean, he's just kind of like that quiet kind of. He's just quiet, I guess you would kind of say. He doesn't speak very often because he does, because like he's a Tegu and he's not really human, so he doesn't think that he should have human interactions. But because our group is so nice, you know, we really think of him as an actual human, and he actually takes part in human activities and things like that. Now, because he's an Imperial arms, he doesn't know how to love, because even though he doesn't know how to love. We all think that Najinda's like all on him, but we don't really know, because he can't love himself because he's not real. Technically, he doesn't have a heart or anything. Even though, well, he does have a heart, but it's not like he can't feel anything. He doesn't have emotions. So, but the reason he actually chose Najinda is because Najinda reminded him of his old master, who was actually a dude. And like I showed you the picture of Najinda, her hair is really short, and actually Tatsumi thought she was a guy too. No, I thought he was a guy. When I first saw Akame get killed, I thought Najinda was a guy. But I'll get to that in a second, because we're on Susanoo right now. Like I said, he's really powerful, he's really strong. He actually ends up saving the day one of the episodes, but it does cost him his life. So we'll get into that in a minute. And next, we have Najinda herself. Now, this Najinda is just like, she's not necessarily ugly, but she's not really base material either. But if you go see what she looks like when she was with the capital, because she was also a capital officer. If you go see what she looked like then, she was nice and base material. It was like, oh my gosh, why'd you have to cut your hair? But the reason why it happened and what happened to her is because as she left the Revolutionary Army, the capital, Esdeath, who is another character we're going to speak on in a minute, kind of sees her leave the capital, and she's like, okay, well, when I see her again, I'm gonna kill her. And then she tries to kill her, and she like pretty much freezes her arm, takes her arm off, and then one of her icicle spears kind of pierce Najinda in the eye, and she's not able to see or anything like that. And so she only has one eye, and that's why she has the mech arm, the android, the Dragon Ball Z android arm that we all like to call it. And that's why she's not as powerful, is because of that, because Esdeath messed her up pretty well. She probably would have died if she had not gotten immediate medical attention, which is why she doesn't do much at all except for give everybody missions and pretty much sit back and watch it happen. That's all she does. Like, she does one punch throughout the whole anime, but that's because she can't fight. Just look at her. If you actually know what happens, then you know why she would not be able to fight at all. But she, like I said, she's the leader of the group. She gives everyone missions. She is that kind of head honcho, you would think. Not necessarily in power, but she does have some good tactician plans. Even though Esdeath is able to read most of them, she's a good tactician, and she really helps them in the end. But that's kind of all she does. She doesn't really do anything action-wise throughout the anime. So I guess it's about that time for the death toll.